Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video we'll see how to create press effect in React Native. And I was seeing this effect in Pinterest website, and I wanted to show you guys. So let's just start by creating it. So first I'll have a component. So basically we'll create a list item, then we'll add that item to a simple array of views. So here we have a container of our list item, and let's give a predefined width of 200 and height as 100, and we'll also add a background color. This is just for the reference purpose. Maybe we don't need it later. And then I'll add a image component just for the demo purpose. You can have anything else as well here as a list item. So I've added couple of images in my assets folder. It's in my projects, and I'm just referring it, and you know how to do it already, I guess. So all you have to do is pass the path of that image to the required function, and that will do the job. So assets slash images slash Norway, I guess, dot jpg. So now we have an image component, but we have to give a predefined width and height for this. Otherwise, it will load the image with the inherent width and height. That's not what we want. We want the image to fit with the container. So I'm just giving the same width and height as the container, and let's see whether everything is working. So I'll reload. I got an error. Let's import the image component. Let's reload again. So we got our image component. Now we need to add a press effect for this. So once I click on this component, it should scale down, and once I release, it should scale back to its original size. So to do that, I'll have a touchable without feedback. So as you're seeing, I'm not using other touchable components like touchable opacity and all, because they come with um, some animations by default. So I don't need it here. So let's use touchable without feedback. So I'll wrap this component around my list item like this, and then let's provide on press prop. So on pressing that component, which is our list item, we'll get a callback, and in that callback we'll do the animation. So for now I'll just define this function called this.animate. So animate function, and here we'll do the animation. So to do the animation, we need animated object, sorry, component. So animated dot timing is what we'll be using, and for this we need a object. So let's create an object called animate press, and let's initialize this by new animated dot value, and initially we'll have it 1. I'll explain it later why we are initializing this with 1. And now I'll just refer that object by this dot state dot animate press. Now I have to pass the configuration, so it will be to value, it's 500. Okay, it's not 500, so to value it should be, so it's 1, so it should be 0.8. So we are just scaling it down by the factor 0.8, and the duration will be 500 milliseconds, and I'll just call start on it. So once we press the component, this animation will get called, and for the animation to work we need to convert the view to animated.view. So we'll do that, and to apply the animation, so we have to do scaling animation. So I'll use transform prop. So transform prop, and inside I'll use the scale. So since we are scaling down the component, so scale, and I'll just pass the object here, this dot state dot animate press. So that's everything. think 500 duration. Yeah, on clicking on press, so everything is there. So let's reload and check whether this is happening. So I pressed it, so the component scaled down. Now we want on once we release once we take when the user takes out the hand, it should come back to its original position. So to do that, what I'll do is I'll make use of two other props provided by touchable components, that is on press in and on press out. So once the user presses the component, we'll get on press in. Once the user takes out his hand, then we'll get on press out callback. So we'll not be using we don't need on press anymore. So I've just removed the function there, so I've removed the prop as well. And now I'll convert the function as on press in, which will get called when the user presses the component, and we'll have on press out as well, which will be called when the user releases the when we releases the hand. So in on press out, let's rename the function as on press out. So here in on press out, we want the component to scale back to its original size. So to value will be 1. So now you understand why I have defined it with initial value 1, so that when the component is loaded for the first time, the scale of that component should be 1. So that's the reason. And if you give anything else as initial value, that's what it's going to be. So if it's 0.5, then the component would be loaded with the 0.5 scale. So that's clear now. So we have animate in, we have animate out. So let's just check whether that's happening. So I press the item. Yeah, so we are getting that effect. And see, once I hold it, it goes back entirely, and when I release it, it comes back to its original position. So that's it, guys. So it's so simple. And you might be wondering, the press effect is not entirely what you want, so you can configure it. Maybe you can change the duration, so that will take less time for the press effect to change. So you can also change the scale values from 0.8 to 0.5. This will scale the item from 1 to half its size. So you see how it changes. I think 0.8 is more better, and yeah, it's quick as well here, so it looks um, more intuitive as well. So now what we'll do is we'll make this as a reusable item. So I'll copy this, then I'll create a file inside my source folder called listitem.js. Then here I'll paste it. So let's get rid of app registry, which is not required here. I'll also remove these styles, which is for the container. I'll also remove the container here, it's not required. So this is just our list item. So now we'll remove the prop, sorry, the require. Here we'll use the props. So whatever we pass from the parent is what going to be used here, so that way we can reuse this list item to load different images. And we'll also rename the component as list item. So that's done there. So here I'll remove the list item here, and we can get rid of these functions which is not required. We'll remove the animated object as well. So now I'll import the list item, which is there in my source folder. So list item, and so now what I'll do is I'll create a simple array of views. So this is just to show you quickly. So you can do it like this. So here we'll have the list of strings. So so basically those are the paths to the images which we have in our assets. and so it is set slash images slash Norway. And here I think we can't just pass the string, so we have to pass it along with require. So otherwise you will encounter an issue if you just pass the string, and if you try to use require somewhere else, you will have an issue. So this is the proper way to do it. And we have three elements in our array now. Let's give the extension. Let's change the image to surfer.jpg, and here we'll use tiger. Cool. jpg. Now all I have to do is call map function, and this will give me a callback, and in that I'll return the list items which are going to be rendered, and in the callback we can access the element and as well as the index. So I'll tell you what I'll be using both of these for. So once we get the callbacks, we'll return the list item, and the list item, yeah, we'll pass the prop for the list item, so that is image. So all I have to do is just pass the element. So since we have one item in our array, all I have to do is just use it directly. So element, and let me check whether, okay, before that, okay, let me just quickly check it. So yeah, so we have got our array of views, but you see we have a warning, and that's because we have not provided the key prop. So since we are creating the array of views, we have to give the key prop for the React Native to render it effectively. So that's why I'm using index here. And now let's give some margin as well. So you saw there was no cap between the views, so I've given the margin for the each items. So there you go, we got rid of our warning, and it also looks better with that margins now. And all I wanted to do is, show you how you can create this effect and make use of these props, and it works really well. And even I was not aware of how to create this effect, so I was going through the documents of React Native, and I came across these props. And after a couple of errors, I was able to come up with this, and it is so easy now. I hope it has helped you guys. And if you have been watching, thanks for watching, and till next time, have fun coding. Bye.